Good morning, everybody. Today is Sunday, December the 11th, and I'm glad you've joined me. I'm Bob Phibbs, the retail doc. I work with some of the greatest brands in the world, some of the biggest retailers in the world, all the way down to regional size chains and even smaller mom and pops. I'm glad you joined me. So do me a favor and do type in where you're joining me from because this broadcast is going live all across the world. And it's always interesting to see where you come in and also what challenge you've got. So if you have not submitted any questions to me already, then do me a favor and put that in here as well. That will help. Some of you on Facebook and some of the other ones will see that you have to allow StreamYard to comment. So please make sure you do that. That way I can see you, et cetera, et cetera. And then I'll more importantly, or just as importantly, make sure you give me some thumbs up so I know you're out there because ultimately the algorithm only shows these days to people who are engaged and are sharing content. So do me a favor and do all that. Allison, good morning from Pineville, Louisiana. Good morning. I'm glad you're here today. Well, I thought I would start off today by showing you something that I've been using only because I went to a great restaurant, La Mer, at the Delamar Hotel in Greenwich, Connecticut. It's working back there behind me. You can kind of see it with the you see how my little tangelome is all lit up, and then my little sign, I'm kind of a big deal, behind me. It's this little portable light. And this one is from Zafiro America, which I really love because it shows a QR code on the bottom, and I could just scan it when I was at the restaurant. But what I like is it's rechargeable and it's also dimmable, which is really nice. So it doesn't have to be full power. Why do I show it to you for a retail store? Because you have a lot of areas where there's no great light. Maybe it's at the cash register, maybe it's in a window. But when you have this, it also is rechargeable. So even if, God forbid, somebody stole it, they're not going to be able to use it because the battery is separate. But you can bring it to an area you need. So if you're doing consultations, let's say you're in furniture sales or something like that, and it's kind of hard at your desk for them to see, just bring this over and it makes it really easy. So that's your big tip today for making it easier in darker stores, because that's a real problem with a lot of people. The old 60s fluorescents are still in the ceiling, but some of us are getting a little older. There you go. And we need to be able to see things. And if you can make it easier for us, it's going to make it easier for us to say yes and to buy something. Good morning, Lewis. I'm glad you're there. Jeannie from Cincinnati, Bakir from India, Gregor from Poland. My gosh, and Bob. I don't know where you are from, Bob, but anyway, the rest of you join in, type in, let me know you're there. If you do live videos, always remember that first couple of minutes, don't get into all of what you're talking about because it takes a while for the feeds to show up in people's your feed to show up in their feed. There you go. All right, so I've said that, and we've done that. So a lot of you are looking for barometers of the season. I went out shopping yesterday at Macy's. I was glad that I was helping a buddy buy a sport coat. I was glad they were all sized. I could see it quickly. The merchandising was not too bad. They had a price checker so that with reduced people, you could actually see how much stuff is, because everything had it's on sale for this, and if you have this, you get that, and etc. And I really liked over the checkouts, they have let's check out, so you could see it clearly. Was there a great sense of excitement in there? No. Unfortunately, it seemed like there was less people on the floor, so being able to get their sales up were a little bit harder. But the challenge for everybody is that, let's face it, people went crazy over Thanksgiving weekend and bought a lot of stuff. But this is always, when I was in retail, this is always the week you would turn to each other and go like, where is everybody? Where is everybody? This is so different. And then invariably, you'd end up having a killer December and you'd forget about this week. But this week is always a marginal week. People did their Thanksgiving and all that stuff. They had to go back to work, and whether it's remote or in person. So it's always just a not an easy one, but it's about the upsell. And so today I thought I would tell you a quick story about upsell. When I first started out, I was in college. I was in college. Yeah, I was in college. I'd been a janitor through my high school days and worked cleaning things up. I know, really surprised that cleanliness is really important to me. That's why. And I was working at a Nunbush shoe shop. It was like my first day. I hadn't really worked in shoes before. Guy shows me how the Brannick device works. You have to measure people's feet and all this. And we did some mock sessions, so I knew how to actually do it, and then go in the back. And if we didn't have a size, how to try other things. So I done all that, and it's my first sale. Like, oh my gosh, my first sale! How exciting! And so the guy, one of the things that we would do is we'd have you try them on, and then invite you to walk out to the mall, because we had hard terrazzo in the store, but it was carpeted outside. So you could see the difference how it felt. So I say, oh, and if you just walk out there, you could see how it feels. And the guy walks out, and my manager throws a bottle of, I forget what it was, but it was a leather cleaner, throws it at me. He goes, here's a rag, put some on his left shoe, that as you put it back on, and show him how it works. It cleans, protects, and makes it easy to polish afterwards. It's $4. You get $1 if you sell one. I was like, okay. So the guy comes back in, and he goes, oh, I really like these. And I go, can I show you something about your shoes? And he goes, sure. I go, this is a cleaner we've got. And I cleaned off his left shoe, and it's only $4. Be an easy thing to add into your, yeah, I'll take it. Great. Then I'll clean off the other one. I laughed, and I used that forever, because at Nunbush, the way you got paid was minimum. You got a commission on the sale of the merchandise, but you got $1 for every bottle of cleaner, $1 for every polish, and I think it was $5 for shoe trees. So the whole idea was that you had this customer, and the whole goal was, if I get the shoes off, then it opens the door for all these other things I can sell. And why was that important? Because shoe trees, if you use shoe trees, they will let your shoes last 3 or 4 times longer, especially if you have, inclement weather and other things, dries them out and does all these reasons. So some people say, oh, that's so pushy. It's not pushy. In fact, Nordstrom used to sell trees with every purchase. It's the way you take care of it. I never understand how apparel stores don't sell, women's apparel stores don't sell hangers, because supposedly you get those little hanger marks on them, and it ruins your dresses or your sweaters or whatever you're doing. But we think that it's pushy. Well, the reality is, all the news is finally going to catch up with us. We are going to talk ourselves into recession. We're going to talk ourselves into everything is terrible. And if you go through and join them, guess what? You're going to have a horrible Christmas. You're about as successful as you make your mind up to be. So some of you have shared some stories of, what do we do with these horrible customers? You're in retail. I don't care if you like them or not. They're there. They're the ones paying the bills, and your goal is to always find a way to say yes, and not to let things get to you. So, the person who says they can't, the person who says they can, they're both right. And in this instance, at this time of year, you have roughly 2 weeks now, because Christmas is in 2 weeks. It's 14 days. You don't have the luxury of a bad thought. You have the luxury of calling people out. You don't have the luxury of bemoaning it sucks to be you. We're in it. Let's do it. Let's have fun. And, I just had a little promo here. Sales RX, my online retail sales training program. We're doing a sprint starting January 26th. And it's an extra level of support for those of you like, oh, I don't like training, or I'd like to, but I never finish what I start. We would be great for you for that. And if you want to change your business, anyone who joins Sales Direct between now and January 26th, you'll be in the sprint, and it's easy. So there you go. I'll have more details about that next week. Hi to all of you out there. I can't answer you all. You're all over the world here today. That's fabulous. Michael, talk ourselves into it. Yeah, that's exactly what I believe, my friend. So there you go. So we got some interesting questions here. Let's take our first one. And by the way, you can always ask a question while I'm here. And don't forget, no matter what platform you are, you can always give me a thumbs up or a yes or something like that. And if I say something along the way you really agree with, you can give me applause, or you could say yes. Just make this a dialogue, because one of the things that's really great about having 400,000 followers is the communication between us. I don't do these except once a month. So you talk to me, and I can talk back to you. How's that? All right, great. Oh, Christine, look at you. Well, that's a great comment. My grouchiest customers become my best customers and always ask to see me when visiting store. That is so true. I love that, Christine. The whole idea is, how do I win them over? I love that. Instead of, they're going to make my day, make me horrible. Great, you win. All right. Bob, great name, by the way, asks, chain store like Walgreens. So I guess Bob works in this. I guess he's a manager of a Walgreens. Okay. So one store is attached to a shopping mall, one isn't. They both provide ECC, extraordinary customer service. My question is, how can a corner store bring in more foot traffic than the ones attached to a shopping mall? My DM says on some days the foot traffic is lower than the one that's on the corner. How do you keep it a consistent pace and outperform the store that's attached to the mall? So, first question I would always say is, "Oh, really? It's extraordinary customer service." Tell you what, why don't you give me $150? I'll shop your store twice, and I'll tell you if it's extraordinary. If you're really that committed, you have my contact information. You give me a direct message. I would be happy to do it. I'm always shocked when people seem to believe that that's extraordinary. And I go in, I'm like, maybe it's extraordinary because you think of all you're doing. But from my viewpoint, that's not extraordinary. So, first part. Get people to want to come back to yours so you could easily say something at the end. Hey, and remember, if you go to we have two Walgreens really close. If you go to ours, we're easier to get in and out of than the other one. Maybe that's what you're going to tell your employees. I don't know. Where are your employees parking? Are they parking in front so it looks like it's busy and I'm not going to want to do it? Is it easier to get in and out? Do your crew add something when they're talking to people? I can tell you I have been in Walgreens or Rite Aids, or they all kind of come to mind, CVS. I think it was Walgreens, and nobody could check out unless they'd say, "Oh, do you have our loyalty card?" And then the older person would be up there. Well, I don't know, and then they'd have to be pitching this and trying to get them to get their phone number out, and they don't have their phone numbers, so have to get their phone out. And I'm like, really, this is the place to do this? And it's annoying. And so I just said, I will never be back to the store. At the same time, I can hear somebody saying, but that's really important. It is important. So do it somewhere else or get other people involved before I get to that checkout when my mind is already on the other things I want to do. So I hope that helps. Again, you're working in a major chain and you're limited. So you'll hear my ideas along the way of stores here. If you're trying to build foot traffic, you have to become a place people want to return to. It's that simple. What's not simple is how do you do that on a consistent basis with a crew of people who you are not the first thing they think of when they wake up in the morning. Lynn, this year we are seeing the number of transactions drop from the last 2 years of COVID. Sales are still up, but the number of transactions are down. Should we compare the numbers to COVID years where everyone sheltered in place or the year before? We own two hardware stores. So, first off, Lynn, that's a great problem to have. You have less people are buying more. That's much better than a lot of other ones. Yes, 2019 is the barometer everybody is using in the media to compare most mid-size and full-size stores, bigger chains, because that's the last real barometer we have of so-called normal. Having said that, your hardware store, so you're going to have headwinds coming to you of higher interest rates, and people are going back to work and not being at remote. And a lot of the jobs that they were doing around the house are kind of fixed. So I just say you have to make sure that you regularly market to those people on your lists so that they don't forget you're there and they go to Lowe's or Home Depot. But the reality is, we just had a little hardware store open up here in where I live, a little Ace that's doing gangbusters business because the place that had been around for generations called it quits maybe a dozen years ago, and nobody saw the potential. And so they have people who are friendly and smiling, and they're doing a great business. And you know what's funny? I'm seeing their people raving about them on social media, showing up on my Facebook page, and I don't even follow them. So all of those things build together to make that community connection. So it sounds like you're doing great. Just make sure that you are reminding people why. And if you're just joining me, do me a favor, type in where you're joining me from. Tell me what you like. Does that agree with you? Do you enjoy it? Why the hell are you here if you're not engaged? Don't just sit here. Well, I'll just watch what Bob says, and then I'll not do any of it. All right, so don't do that for me. All right. Charlie says, I'm finding business to be slow everywhere. Of course, my store as well. People are buying okay, but not big purchases. Consumer confidence seems shaky. How are other retailers feeling in the fourth quarter? Charlie, that's the same thing that I've been talking about the whole time. Who gives a damn? Seriously. Everyone's doing great. Is that what you want to hear, Charlie? Everyone's doing great but you. Life sucks. Or no one's doing great, Charlie. Everything is horrible. No one's buying anything. It's going to be a horrible year. Okay. What are we going to do with that? Because in the end, it doesn't really matter. Okay. When I was, my goodness, when I was in retail and first starting out, and Ronald Reagan got shot. And, we had a major promotion we were trying to do, and the mall was very quiet. And anyone that came in the door, all we could see was wondering if he was all right. And then it came out that he was fine. He appeared in the window or whatever. And I had to find a way to get over that. So you'd make sure you'd say, "Oh, did you hear the president's okay?" And then you would try to go through and get people to pivot away from it. The thing of saying how slow it is, again, this is always the time, this is always the week, that is always that margin week. And I get it, things can be tough. Just make sure you're not convincing yourself that it sucks to be you, because I can guarantee you, whether you think you can hide that or not, it's going to come through to your employees, it's going to come through to your customers. So there you go. Heather says, I haven't changed my buying habits as a consumer. That's very true. I would agree. I would agree. Yes. Okay. Hide. Hide now. Thank you. All right. So Andrew's asked a question. Gift card promos, $5 gift card for every $25 purchased. Do they have value? I know gift cards ring the register in the future, but I'm struggling to get others to understand how promos like this have value. The only thing I say, Andrew, is you run into immediately you've given a 20% discount, right? So is that a good thing? I'm not so sure, because then in January they're going to use it. I know when I was at Macy's the other day, they gave a $10 for every $100 in Macy's money, but it was only good from 12/16 to the end of the month, and you couldn't use it now. And that's a be back offer, which is a great idea. And maybe it would make me, but I don't know if I would go back to it. But here's the thing about gift cards: a lot of people love them, and the reason we love them is because you've locked up their money. They can only use it with you. If they lose it, most uh, states now require you to have a record of it and be able to show it. If they lose it, most people don't do that, and so it's no loss to you. And I just think, if that's something that you can explain quickly, great. But gift cards without the promo are a nice way too. They say that Gen Z and millennials and, well, a lot of people prefer gift cards. The problem is most of those gift cards they want are to people other than you, because if I don't know you as a retailer and you're going to lock up that money and give it to me, then what are you going to do when they come in and go like, I don't want anything here. Can I get the money for the gift card? You should be ready to just go, great, here you go, and not end up having a problem. So there you go. All right. So where is this other one? Yeah. So I see, Alex, I see your question. I promise I will answer that. I apparently have broken up what I had said here. Okay, so Robin says how to deal with Karens. Example: I bought this in 1979. It's broken. We have a very clear warranty, and you want a free replacement because you ran over it with your car, and get louder and louder so every guest can hear their side of the story. Well, Robin, I would, and then Susan jumped in and said, "Yeah, dealing with one now. A 20-year-old lamp. Lady burnt a hand stenciled shade made in Ireland. Wants a new shade." Well, always the answer is, if somebody elevates the conversation, you always want to take them away. That's pretty much basic customer service. You say, let's discuss this over here, get them off the floor if you can. If you're working there alone, then I don't know what to tell you, but that's what you should do, is to get them off to a corner so they can't get into that. But a lot of times I think people get into this battle and they look for it. And, you always just tell them what you can do and not what you can't. And if you want to just keep arguing with them, then you're going to make your day horrible and theirs. So tell them what you can do. I mean, again, to say somebody bought a lamp in 1979, it's broken, they want a new one. It's like, really? Like 50 years ago, this happened. Somebody bought this. I don't know anyone in the world that would think that's a normal conversation or a free replacement because they ran over the car. People can ask all kinds of things. But I just wonder if you aren't catastrophizing things and then you label people as Karen and it's a them versus us. And I think that's really bad in retail. These odd things happen all the time. Always have, always will. Weird things that people do. It's the grace you bring to the situation and what you can and can't do. A 20-year-old shade that somebody burned a hole in, they might want a new one. Yeah, great. So you say, well, here's what we can do. Oh, I want you to pay for it. Yeah, we can't do that. And shut up. But I think a lot of times what we bring to the situation is like just pouring gas to it. Yeah, this idiot customer. So someone comes over and says, I need the manager. Yeah, this idiot customer wants over here. Oh, this idiot customer. Yeah, what can I help you with? Yeah, I bought this shade, right? Because in the end, if it's that long ago that somebody bought something, it's not a chargeback issue, but it is an issue of grace and how you bring yourself to it. So if you need training on that, I could certainly help you with that. But I think labeling people as Karens is never helpful in retail. It's labeling anybody in retail somebody that is something else. So there you go. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. This idea that there is this this one thing that represents everyone in the world, I think is just horrible. It's just not a good idea. So there you go. Thank you. I agree with that. Thank you, Stacy. So true. Most people just want to be heard. Let them get it all out. I bought this. I did this. I did this. I'm going through a thing with a mattress company right now. I bought a mattress after a couple of months. It still didn't break in. Then it broke in, and now it's kind of like a coffin. And I can't tell you all the steps I've had to gone through, and the guy still isn't making good on it. It's really frustrating for a customer, and our hands tend to be tied, and we get really upset. That's going to happen. But the grace you bring to it or don't bring to it, I think, is really hard. So just consider that. I have I have I have 2 more. I have 3 more. So, John asks, "Is it too late to hire for Christmas?" John, it's never too late to hire for Christmas. I just say, don't expect them to be walking in the door and they're going to be upselling and doing your major projects. Just think, what are the things they could do that I could teach them quickly, whether that's receiving merchandise or keeping the store looking pretty or doing basic register checkouts. 3 things that you could teach them, then I think you're great. But if you think you're going to go through and you're going to train somebody in 2 weeks and they're going to be able to do it, you're probably going to make yourself miserable in them. And the only thing that adds value is that extra set of legs and eyes and feet on the door helps with shoplifting and customer service and taking out the routine things that your more experienced employees or like yourself are going to be able to add as well. If you like what I have to say, give me a thumbs up. Let me know you're out there, because that's all we're doing here is talking. And this is probably going to be my last one. I might do one at the end of the month, but this is probably the last one I'm going to do for December. It's your last chance to talk to me, and you're all still here after 21. So after 21 minutes. So I think that, all right, I appreciate that. So I'm going to go all the way back up. Alex asked a question here. It's cold and normal for our area. Of course, it's slow, but we are focused on the next season for spring. Make it better. Yeah, that's exactly it. So you're going to be talking about what you can do in your garden, Alex's gardening center in Washington. So talking about getting ready for spring, but you don't go dark. I think that's the challenge. That when things are a little bit tougher, we go dark and we say, "Oh, well, they're not interested." You don't know that, because your customer is still your customer. And even after Christmas, you still should be putting out live videos. You still should be talking to your customers about what they could do to use your products or what they're going through, et cetera. Somebody's really cold, they might be worried, "Oh, what's going to happen to my roses?" So you're going to talk about that and talk about burlap and other things, and just be in the moment as a community store, not as judging what's relevant or not. Just think what your customer's going through and then answer it. Life gets easier. Christine, there's a certain demographic who still enjoys going to brick and mortar. And this time of year, you get new customers walking through your doors. Be sure to give them the best attention. Introduce yourself, let them know you care about their needs, and bring a new employee with you sometimes so they can learn how to be engaging. Don't forget the smiles. Well, that's very nice. That's not even a question. Thank you for that, Christine. Lovely. Thank you. I have new comments down here. Stacy, fold, clean, stack, ring, and smile. Yeah, that's what you're bringing that person on. I love that. You can get somebody going through. If you get those 3 with a smile, I'm happy with you, right? That's a great idea. That's a great idea. Chris, what are you saying to me? We remind employees the sale doesn't stop at the first item. Their accessories that go with the item. It's our job to show them. It goes along with the answers. Always no if you don't ask. That's exactly right. And the best way to get that, Chris, is always just to say, this looks great. Have you ever gotten a new outfit home? I'm just going to use apparel because I don't know what you sell, Chris, but have you gotten a new pair of pants home, and then you look at your belt and it looks kind of shabby, and wait for them to say yes. Yes. Great. I have some great ones right over here. Let's go take a look. That's the way we can get the ad on without that awkward, "Is that all?" Don't ever ask us that's all. In fact, those of you who stayed till 24 minutes, here's my big idea that I always share at the holidays. Always ask the last thing. You never are the first one to the register. That is death at this time of the year. I want them to drag me to the register. I want to leave. Oh, great. I certainly can. And once they've locked up that big item, whatever it is, just ask them one question, which is, Who else is on your list? Say it out loud with me. Who else is on your list? 6 words. And what you'll see them do is like look up to this imaginary list and they'll say, "Oh, I need something for my grandfather, but I'm sure you don't have it." Say, "Oh, try me. What did you get him last year?" And they used to have a dialogue because you spent all this time to get them to say yes once. It's much easier to say yes again. And customers are harried. They don't want to have to go around to 4 more stores, and they most people don't want to shop online because it's probably going to come back and they're going to have to return it. I mean, you look at the returns that are coming into stores, they're saying this is what's killing profitability because people buy so much and return it. Yeah, I've done the same thing. But at the end of the day, the one thing you can do is to make sure that when somebody says yes, you leverage that so that they can say yes again. Who else is on your list? Very easy to say. Uh, oh, that's great, Lynn. Great way to phrase be in the moment as a community store. That's exactly it. Community store. Nicer. Uh, Oh, we have another question here from Michael. Listening with wife. We have 2 successful hardware stores, hit goals we never dreamed of. What I'd like to know is why people spread rumors of our demise or closing. Is this common for most mom and pops? Well, Michael, if you're not putting it out there, it's pretty easy. Let's face it, nothing travels faster than bad news that travels over what is it? It's like grapevines. It's something like that. Bad news travels fastest over grapevines that have soured. So if somebody has a problem, it's really easy to say. And let's face it, kicking brick and mortar is a hobby a lot of people love. And so you don't want to get out there and say, "Hey, we're still here." Just make sure that your feeds are just always about something helpful. Again, if you were I'm in upstate New York. We just have a little bit of snow, our first snowfall, very exciting, probably 2 or 3 inches. So what are people dealing with in a hardware store? Well, maybe have to deal with ice. They might have to deal with so just once a week, make sure you're at least going live with some helpful tip. Doesn't always have to be product based. You have a pet, you want to take the pet out in the snow. You might be curious about what could be good. Show them 3 types of things you can use on the driveway or something, and that's it. But you have to define and stay in front of it because if you go quiet, people will write their own narrative, and I can tell you that always happens. Righty. So I've answered all that. I've also answered that. I don't think any other questions, so I think we have to leave. Because without questions, I have nothing to talk about. Otherwise, I'm just babbling, and I don't want to babble. It all comes down to you, my friends. Is you're doing the hard work, which is how do I create an exceptional experience with everyone by being brilliant on the basics. I have so many people who think it's easy to work in retail. It's not. Retailers who think people are trained. They're not. And unfortunately, we have people who think that customers are something that's negotiable. Like, I'll wait on them. I won't wait on them. I like the way he's dressed. I don't like the way he's dressed. I can't believe nobody commented on my shirt today. What the hell? I can't believe it. This is a brand new shirt. I wore it yesterday with my jacket. People were like, amazing. And I thought for sure, Stacy, you would have said something. But oh well, I guess it didn't quite work. All right. But it still comes down to the energy and the passion you have about how am I going to connect with this person? How am I going to be curious about them? And more importantly, long term, how do you end up getting rid of this nation of you're different from me, I hate you, which is in the news and it's everywhere. And to me, that's a small minority. I think I think most people in general are good. I think 99% of us would go out of our way for someone else. And that attitude we bring to whatever we do, especially in retail, with our customers, with our employees, says everything about who you are versus your mission statement or the products you chose or your discount you put out there. I always say, let other people discount. They know what their product and service is worth. So understand that you are the ones trying to figure it out with me, trying to figure it out. I'm just here to be your running buddy and say, you can do this. And sure, things are going to get discouraging the next week or two, but you know what? This is the most fun time of the year because your day goes quicker. People are in a better mood. And if you have that attitude, life gets easier. If you want to have a horrible day, then unfortunately, you're going to have that. And unfortunately, you're going to spread that. And then you're going to be whining about they're all on Amazon. And I'm telling you, they're not all on Amazon, that people want to be heard. They want to be curious and they want to have a feeling that they matter. And if you're willing to do that and take me out of my kryptonite world, I'm going to open my wallet as big as you're going to let me. But that's up to you to ask and you to deliver on. I'm Bob Phibbs, the Retail Doc. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you have a great day and a happy holiday.